That quiet ache. You know the one. When you're just tired of pretending you're fine.
That feeling that something's off, maybe that others have some kind of power you don't.
Yeah, this deep dive, it's for anyone feeling that hidden struggle.
Because our source material, it really cuts to the chase. It says, basically, as long as you avoid pain, it runs the show.
So true strength isn't not feeling pain.
No, not at all. It's about being aware of it, knowing it.
Okay, let's get into it then. We want to understand where this pain really comes from and find maybe a different way to be strong.
Right. So the usual suspect is the outside world, right? What people say, what they do, betrayals, abandonments.
It definitely feels like that's the thing hurting us. Like, they did this to me.
It seems obvious. But the sources we're looking at, they offer a tougher idea.
Which is?
That none of that external stuff, harsh words being left, none of it actually has the power to create that deep, gut-wrenching pain on its own.
Unless
there's already, sort of, an open wound inside you waiting for it.
Ah, okay. So the event isn't the wound, it just pokes it, reveals it.
Exactly. It activates something already there. That story you carry about not being good enough, maybe. Or an old hurt you thought was buried.
Or just this. Emptiness you try to ignore.
Yeah. It hits a nerve that's already raw.
So it's like the external world reflects our internal state. Is that the idea?
That's a great way to put it. The sources, drawing on Jung, suggest exactly that. Pain from outside mirrors what hasn't been integrated inside.
And that explains, maybe, why some people seem to handle terrible things. Loss, failure, and stay standing, while others just crumble after a small comment.
Right. It's not about how big the storm is outside. It's about where that lightning strike hits internally, what part of your inner landscape it scorches.
Okay, that makes sense. But if it's internal, why does the suffering stick around so much?
Well, another tough idea from the sources is that we often prolong it ourselves by trying to control things we can't.
Like trying to control how people treat us, trying to be perfect so they won't hurt us.
Exactly that. Trying to be good enough, strong enough, lovable enough, as if ticking all the boxes guarantees safety.
Which it doesn't.
It doesn't. And that constant effort, that trying to manage everything externally to avoid internal pain, it just creates this constant tension inside. It's an illusion, that control.
So the answer isn't better control.
The sources argue the answer is shifting your focus. Real freedom starts when you get that external things only gain power over your deep feelings if they find an echo inside.
An echo in the unconscious. Is that where this leads?
That's the true battlefield, according to these perspectives. The part of you that you don't see, the part you don't know.
Ends up controlling you.
Precisely. Dune put it so well. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate.
Wow, so all that nagging pain or the anger that just explodes or that sudden wave of sadness, it's not random noise.
Not according to this view. They're messages, signals, from those forgotten, ignored, pushed down parts of yourself, old memories, fears, needs.
Things we didn't want to feel.
Right. And they don't just sit quietly. They drive our reactions, often completely outside our awareness.
Which explains why certain words can feel like a punch to the gut.
Yeah, because they're not just words. They're hitting those incredibly sensitive, unhealed spots inside. Spots that are still alive and hurting because we've pushed them away instead of facing them.
And that Jung quote, "We cannot change anything until we accept it." That fits right in here.
Perfectly. Condemning those feelings, judging ourselves for having them, it just pushes them deeper. It oppresses. It doesn't liberate.
And ignoring the unconscious doesn't make it go away.
No way. It just finds sneakier ways to show up. Like repeating destructive relationship patterns or self-sabotage or that free-floating anxiety that seems to come from nowhere.
So it's not just bad luck. It's our own internal stuff playing out externally.
Your unconscious is basically yelling for attention, trying to get you to become whole. But if you keep ignoring it, it just gets louder, finding more disruptive ways.
So the path isn't building thicker walls.
Exactly. The common response is armor, right? Close off, pretend it doesn't hurt, put on a brave face. I don't care.
Yeah, the tough guy, the cool, detached persona.
But inside, the sources say that person is still bleeding. The wounds fester because the real issue isn't the feeling itself, it's the not knowing what you're feeling or why. Because you haven't dared to look.
You're hiding your real self, even from yourself. It reminds me of that Jung idea. You can know all the theories, but when you connect with someone, you need to be a human soul. We hide that soul.
We do. And true strength, these sources argue, isn't being cold or numb. It's the opposite. It's about integration, bringing all those buried parts, the good, the bad, the ugly, into the light and accepting them.
So becoming untouchable isn't about a shield.
Not an external one. It's about reaching a place where nothing external can wound a part of you that you haven't already met and embraced within yourself. Your shadows, your fears, your flaws.
When you own them.
When you own them, yeah. When you integrate them, they lose their power to be triggered by others. You stop just reacting automatically. You gain the space to choose your response.
You become an agent, not just a reactor.
Exactly. You move from being a puppet of your unconscious triggers to being the one holding the strings consciously.
That sounds like liberation.
It's a huge part of what Jung called individuation. That lifelong journey of becoming who you truly are, not who you think you should be. Integrating all of it, light, shadow, ego, unconscious.
And it's not about being perfect.
Not at all. It's about becoming whole, more complete.
In this whole process,
Yeah.
it inevitably involves facing suffering, doesn't it? The very thing we try to avoid.
Absolutely. We're taught, often from childhood, that pain is bad, weakness, crying is weak, feeling hurt is failure, so we run.
We numb, distract, stay busy.
Anything to avoid it. But the paradox is, the more you flee suffering, the more power it has. It chases you. Ignored pain doesn't just vanish, it morphs. It becomes that constant anxiety or deep apathy, or it fuels self-destructive habits. It digs tunnels inside you, undermining you in ways you don't even realize.
But Jung saw it totally differently.
Completely. For him, suffering wasn't the enemy, it was a messenger. An alarm bell from your deeper self, the unconscious trying to get your attention.
Like that analogy of depression being a lady in black.
Yeah, exactly. You don't slam the door, you invite her in, give her tea, and you listen. You ask what she's here to tell you.
Which is the polar opposite of silencing it.
Right. It's active engagement. And the reason suffering hurts so damn much, often, is because it signals an internal war.
A war?
Yeah, a part of you wants to grow, to change, to integrate something new. And another part, usually the ego that loves safety and familiarity, is digging its heels in, resisting like hell. That friction is the pain.
So growth itself is painful.
Inherently. Letting go of old ways of being, old relationships, old identities, it feels like dying. Because in a way, parts of you are dying to make space for something new. It's a process of internal death and rebirth.
But it's in that vulnerability, that ruin almost, that something important happens.
That's the argument. When the defenses crumble, when the mask slips, you get to see yourself honestly, maybe for the first time, without the pretense.
And that's when suffering can become sacred.
Because it forces that confrontation with your true self. It's not a sign you failed. It's part of the path. Pain isn't the destination. It's often the doorway to transformation, to individuation.
It takes incredible courage, though, to walk through that doorway instead of turning back.
It does. The sources acknowledge this isn't easy. It means dismantling the persona, that social mask we build. It means unlearning who you thought you were supposed to be.
Letting go of the performance.
And facing what's underneath. Facing those inner monsters, the shame, the neediness, the rage, not to fight them, but to see them clearly.
And realize they don't have to control you anymore.
Exactly. To look at them with acceptance and say, okay, I see you, you're part of my story, part of my makeup, but you don't run the show now.
And that internal clarity, that self-awareness, that's the real strength, the real armor.
That's it. It's a strength that doesn't depend on whether people like you or whether you win or lose externally. It's anchored inside. It's not a hard shell. It's an integrated conscious core.
A center that can weather storms.
Right. You still feel the storm, you feel the pain, the loss, the hurt, but it doesn't shatter you. You don't lose yourself in it.
Because you're not just living on the surface anymore.
You found the depth within yourself, the quiet, stable place beneath the waves. And this all circles back to consciousness being the ultimate shield.
Nothing external works if you're internally unconscious.
Nope. External hurts will keep landing like bombs until you wake up to what's happening inside you.
And that awakening, it's not a one-shot deal.
Definitely not. It's a daily choice, a continuous practice. Choosing to look inward, even when it's uncomfortable. Choosing to take responsibility for your feelings, track them back to their roots inside you, instead of just blaming the world.
Like Jung said, what you resist persists.
And what you accept transforms. Resisting your fear, your pain, your shadow, it's exhausting. It keeps you stuck.
So true emotional immunity isn't hardness.
It's clarity. It's expanded awareness, knowing your triggers, your patterns, your wounds, That's what takes the destructive power away from other people's actions or words.
You feel, but you don't drown.
You suffer because suffering is part of life, but you don't lose your core self. The real protection comes not from walling yourself off from life, but from diving deeper into it, especially your own inner life.
So the big shift is realizing that becoming unshakable isn't about building better defenses against the outside world. It's about knowing and integrating your inner world.
It's a practice, not a destination. Choosing awareness over resistance, integration over fragmentation, day by day.
Which leads us with a question for you, the listener. What does that daily choice, that conscious turn inward, actually look like for you? Where could you start? Maybe even today.